Sport24 editor Garen Lamley and chief writer Rob Howing join us in studio this Monday morning for our weekend sports chat, looking at the big results from the weekend and major stories making the sporting headlines. Gents, good morning. Thanks very much for coming in. Garen, I'm going to start with you this morning as our cycling and golf enthusiast. Chris Froome winning his fourth Tour de France title, I believe gunning for a record fifth if you count out Lance Armstrong's achievements. What did you make of the race? I mean, you obviously followed it daily, and just Chris Froome as a racer, and some of the stuff that he's been dogged with in the past in terms of doping allegations, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for me, three of the best sporting weeks of the year: the Tour de France. You know, it feels like a free trip, free holiday around France. So, you know, another great race this year. Very, very close, it must be said. There wasn't any sort of standout cyclist this year, even though Chris Froome did eventually win. And he didn't actually win a stage. So, you know, there were a lot of shared stages amongst all the teams. But as you say, four Tour victories now for Chris Froome, right up there in the same breath as some of the greats that have ever taken part in the race. From a South African point of view, obviously everyone looking at Louis Meintjes, finished 6th overall, fantastic effort, just pipped to the white jersey by Simon Yates of Britain. So, you know, he had a ding-dong battle for the 3 weeks with him. Team Didata, you know, they failed to, I think, shine as many expected them to, but they did have some standout performances from certain of their riders. Obviously, everyone remembers Mark Cavendish crashing out. You know, subsequently, Peter Sagan being banned from the green jersey effectively, so he wasn't there to win a 7th green jersey, which would have been a record. But it's always a fantastic time to watch, see what's going on in the race. Just marvel at the way these riders manage to get themselves up over these mountains day after day after day. And it really is phenomenal. I'm sure they're enjoying a well-deserved break now after the 3 weeks.
And Chris Froome, I mean, there is always, obviously after Lance Armstrong and co, there is always a suspicion when guys have a good record in this race of doping. And like I mentioned, Chris Froome has had, there has been speculation around him. Has he shaken that all off?
I think so. You know, Team Sky have been sort of under a cloud of late. There was parcels passed back and forth with no record of what was actually in those parcels. I think he is sort of above suspicion now, to be quite honest. I think his fellow riders see him as a clean rider, if you like. And obviously there's really intense scrutineering going on and testing at the moment. I think they've got rid of all the bad apples, if you want. Those that are left, there were no reported cases of failed doping at this year's tour. So, you know, that's fantastic news. Obviously, in the past, we've had whole teams kicked out mid-tour. So I think it's a cleaner sport, certainly, than it was in the Lance Armstrong, Jan Ullrich days. But you never really know. You know, you just see the way these guys get up and down these mountains day after day, as I said, and you just wonder how that is possible. You know, it's like doing the Cape Argus twice a day for 21 days. You know, it's quite crazy. But I'd like to think that Chris Froome is a clean cyclist.